Community Spotlight, powered by ATB Wealth Kelowna. Ready to take a powerful step towards the future you want today? Connect with local advisors at ATB Wealth Kelowna to get started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to ATB Wealth Community Spotlight, where we feature and focus on local businesses in our community. Big thank you to ATB Wealth, as always, for sponsoring these segments, as we can't do it without them, so thank you so much. So today I'm joined by Michele. I'm going to try to get this right, okay, Michele Rebiere?
Perfect.
Is it?
You
Look
got
at
it
that.
right on the
Yay,
first
good job,
try.
Rob. Well, Michelle's joining today. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, beautiful day today. I get to enjoy the sunshine after.
Exactly. It's lovely, as always.
So, Michele, you're the Chief Commercial Officer, your title, from Pacific Rim Brands, and we'll jump into Pacific Rim Brands, but I always like to start these by kind of learn a little bit about yourself.
Yes.
Curious what that role of what a Chief Commercial Officer is, what that role is, and maybe we'll unpack from there. So.
Sure. Well, first of all, I've been in Kelowna 5 years now.
Okay.
I'm very proud to call it my home. I spent most of my career in Toronto.
Okay.
Don't hold that against
And
me.
I won't. It's okay.
And I have worked primarily in what I would classify as hypergrowth sectors.
Okay.
So technology, cannabis, esports, renewable energy. So I've had the privilege of working in both startups and in billion-dollar companies. So I work for $2 billion market cap technology companies, and mostly in corporate finance and marketing. So I've learned some really interesting skills that have translated from large corps to startups. And yeah, it's been a very interesting ride. So I arrived in Kelowna, as I say, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
My business partner and I were recruited. We were doing consulting for a company here, a startup, and they decided that they needed our full-time help. So we
made the move.
Made the big move,
wow.
Yes, and it was a big move.
Yeah.
My son is still in Toronto, but I absolutely love it here. So we spent about a year and a half with the organization, and then really determined that we wanted to focus more on brand development. And so we ended up buying out the consulting portion of the company that we had built and started, my partner and I had started Pacific Rim Brands.
Interesting. So in the past, the roles you were doing, was it mostly from a consulting side then, or were you an employee?
I have a strong consulting background, but it was one of the tech companies that I worked for that I really learned my consulting skills and understanding how to develop methodologies and what deliverables were. And so yes, mostly I've been an employee, but the consulting thread has been really throughout, and I really enjoy and embrace that part of the business.
Interesting. If we go back a few more years, I'm always curious, like, what got you into this industry? Like, where did the sort of the fork in the road bring you to this industry and this path?
I would say, unlike a lot of people who may specialize in insurance or in technology or something, I have really always been passionate about learning new industry. And I think, again, that comes from the consulting side.
Right.
So the only common thread in all of this has been companies that grow too quickly. So that hyper-growth sector. So, for example, if you are growing too quickly, or it's a good pace, so it's all relative. But if you're growing quickly, it affects your cash flow management. It affects your culture. It affects your operations and supply chain. And so I'm very passionate about helping organizations figure all of that out.
Interesting. Love it. So you made the move to Kelowna. You've bought out the side of the business. So let's talk about what is Pacific Rim Brands. What do you guys do?
We are a product development services company.
Okay.
So our tagline is from lab to launch. And what that really means is if a company in primarily two sectors that we focus on, beauty and personal care and natural health products. So if a company is looking to bring a product to market, they have a concept, they want to commercialize that, we provide all of the services all the way through. So for example, last year we worked with a company that wanted to bring a skincare line to market, Collage Beauty. And so we worked with them in the lab for many, many months trying to get the viscosity of the product right, the scent, the color. And once we developed that formulation, then we worked through the rest of the life cycle. And that's really back to your question about what does a chief commercial officer do.
Okay.
It's really the person that makes sure that the each of the phases in a project are being completed. So we go from that formulation phase, then we start working with the client to procure their packaging and design their labels, get the project registered with Health Canada to make sure it's compliant, all the way through picking contract manufacturers for them, and then launching the product, which is really an exciting part of the phase.
When it all comes together.
Yes, exactly.
And you said you typically only focus in those two areas. Do you, if someone's reaching out to you that doesn't fit into that buckets, do you still explore those opportunities?
We
or not
do
really?
still explore it, but we try and apply a discipline to it. So one of the early consulting methodologies I learned was way back in the day in the Silicon Valley, which was called Crossing the Chasm. And it was Jeffrey Moore, amazing consultant. And he really essentially helped people understand the importance of focusing in niche market. So I do try and apply that philosophy to our selection. What happens is if we stay focused on natural health products and beauty and personal care, our methodology for taking those products to market is 100% fit.
Right.
So if we veer outside of that, it's still very applicable. But many of the project management concepts and so on, but it may be only an 80% fit. So that's what we really try and do.
And are most of your clients and local clients? Are you working national? Like, what size of businesses are you typically working with?
We would love to work with more Kelowna businesses. Our clients are across Canada and some in the U.S., but we haven't done a lot of work with local businesses in Kelowna. So we're looking to do more of that. But for example, one of the largest clients we've worked with is Sage Natural Wellness in Vancouver. So, you can work with a large company who is looking to maybe outsource part of their product development. Or most recently, we've worked with a company that is just really a solopreneur that said, hey, I've always wanted to bring this product to market. Can you help me? And I love that work because most people don't know anything about the process. And you may decide you want to bring a product to market and you've got a cool name for your product and a vision, and that's it. And there's, 22 steps in between.
That's right.
That's what we like to do. And we're a very disciplined team. We have a very strong methodology, a strong project management approach, but we love working in that creative space. So it's really fun and interesting to kind of take the journey the way you want to take it. And
so could someone come to you then with, you mentioned like, I just have an idea. Like at that space, like of that small. I wouldn't say small because having an idea is sometimes a big journey.
That's right.
So they come and then you can help them. They don't have to come with like, this is the formula I think or anything.
Exactly. Well, and often what happens is they come with their concept, but we take it into the lab and it doesn't work. So then it's really our job to kind of go to our formulation book and say, you know what, this would be good. Something like this. So, for example, when I talked about the skincare project, the very large project we worked on last year, they really didn't have any idea what they wanted that skincare line to contain other than they wanted it to be natural, sustainable, clean. And so we said, that's great. That's one of our core focus areas. So we know how to make that and we'll tailor it to you.
When you say you take it into the lab, are you working locally? With all that?
Almost all of our work is local. So although our clients aren't local, we have 2 labs that we work with, and we do a lot of contract manufacturing. So for example, if a client wants to produce a CBD-based product, then we have a CBD licensed contract manufacturer in Lake Country that we work with. If they want to do a pure natural health product, we do that in Penticton. So virtually all of the work is in the Okanagan.
Interesting. So the phases, once a person comes with an idea, you're going to ideate and try to find the formula that works and all that. So we're great. We're happy with that. Then what happens? What's the next step? What are the next steps? 17, 18, 19, 20?
Exactly. Once it's formulated and we're happy with it, then we have to register it with Health Canada. So there's multiple regulatory pathways, and sometimes we'll advise the client. So for example, we're working on a project right now with a client who's making a high protein dessert. And it's interesting because it could fall into the supplemental foods category, or it could fall into a natural health product category. So we assess what regulatory pathway makes the most sense from a variety of lenses, from down the road when you get into distribution and grocery to the ingredients. Maybe there's some ingredients that are restricted.
Right.
So we'll typically go straight from the lab into the regulatory focus, and then we have to start doing things like designing those compliant labels. What does the label need to say? If you're a skincare product, it's very different than what a natural health product will say. What needs to be on that label? So we'll do that design work, and then we'll help the client select their packaging. Maybe they want to source everything from China due to cost.
Right.
Maybe they would like to have it, sustainable and work with natural products. And so we'll do all of that work from our suppliers. And one of the things I think that makes us the most successful is we've built a full supply chain. So we have a series of vendors that we've vetted for our client. So they may need all of our services, or they may need just a portion of it. But in each of those steps, we have vendors and suppliers that we vetted for them.
That's excellent. Interesting.
Yeah, so from packaging, the regulatory is complete, the packaging's done. Then we'll start working on the contract manufacturing and the go-to-market strategy. They may be a straight e-com play. They may want to go to stores, and then we need to build up their wholesale side of the business.
Right.
And then get the social media going,
right.
and all of the
fun
above.
Stuff.
All the
so
fun
do you
stuff.
help though on, like, because sometimes we're our worst enemy and we think we need to go down this path. Do you help coach the client and say, well, actually e-commerce isn't the best option for this product, you should be going
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's why our clients really value us as a trusted advisor. One of our clients had sort of built their plan and had it in place, and then I said, so have you established your wholesale and retail pricing? And they said, oh my gosh, how did we not think about that? And so we did a whole workshop on how to approach the pricing model. Another client said they're going to be doing a lot of, basically a public relations focused launch. So we didn't need to do that aspect of it, but we did the media training for them and taught them how to go about their interviews and get across the unique selling propositions. And so it really depends on what the client's looking for.
For sure. Interesting. And do you try to validate that before you go to market with clients? Like, is there a way that,
One of the most interesting parts of our business, and very few people in Canada are doing this, is called home user testing, or HUT. And so if you are in the skincare area, which you may or may not be passionate about as we are, but you'll see on most skincare products, they'll say clinical results or, tested by, X number of people. So we do that work for our clients. And it's extremely important to get that feedback. So you can do it at any phase of the project. You can do it at the R&D phase to make sure you're picking the right ingredients or setting the right positioning for the product. You can do it at that market research competitive phase, or even after the product is complete. You've decided what you want to do. Now you want some results so you can start to establish testimonials for your launch. So we do that whole process whereby we select the respondents or the survey participants. We do a presentation on the product without giving them a lot of details. We really want them to go into that relatively open-minded. And then we'll have them test, say, the skincare product for 6 weeks. And each week they weigh in with us, and we ask them questions, and we go through. And then at the end, the client has a full report on, 96% of the respondents said that their skin is more hydrated at the end, for example. So that's one of the areas. We have some clients that have said, we've been doing this in Spain. We didn't even know there was anyone in Canada that did that. So we're very excited about that. And next week we're at the CHFA conference, which is the Canadian Health Food Association conference. We're members of that very esteemed organization, and we're going to be featuring our home user testing, or our HUT program at that conference.
Cool. And where's the conference?
It's in Vancouver. It's actually twice a year in Toronto and Vancouver. So this is CHFA West next week.
Very cool. So I'm curious, like, how big of a team do you guys have then? Like, do you bring in people as needed, or because it sounds like there's a lot of moving parts and skills, like what skills are needed in the product manufacturing phase is different than social media and working with influencer phase.
That's exactly right. Very astute question. So I've always said we punch above our weight class, for sure. We have a team of 12, but if you looked at all of the participants in the supply chain, it's probably over 50 people.
Right, because you have all the partners.
Exactly. And I think it's really important that you have partners and you're not afraid to outsource components of that.
For sure.
You know, for us to provide a service from lab to launch would imply that we're experts in everything, and no one is. So we've honed our skills, which I think is really providing the guidance, the process, the methodology, the project management, and then we frontline and center the stuff that we're really good at, and then backfill that with our contract manufacturers and partners and really close suppliers.
And is there a market that you mentioned, like you'd like to do more in the local market? Do you feel like there is a market? Are there people starting product lines like this and opportunities where you can help them?
Yeah, it's a great question, Rob. I don't know the answer to that. I think there is, but it's very hard to detect that.
Sure, yeah.
Most of our clients are referrals. So when we started this business, we had a very long wait list. And I suspect we're gonna get back to that stage again, because I'll talk to you in a moment about what's happening in the CBD world, and there's some very exciting things going on, and that's where a lot of the backlog was. But most of our clients are referrals. People will come to us and say, "Oh, I heard you do this, and I have a friend that's doing this, or this organization is looking for someone to help them here." There are some companies in Kelowna that do parts of what we do.
Got it.
And so I think that if we, start to network even more broadly than we have been, I think we'll discover those Kelowna companies that say, "Oh gosh, I'm looking for this, and I wasn't aware you're doing this type of service."
Interesting. So you mentioned the CBD products. I didn't want to chat because I saw in the profile that's one area that you guys are focusing on, and maybe let's talk a little bit about that and the benefits and why you're using that product and so forth.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. So when we started Pacific Rim Brands, we were focused on the CBD wellness side of the business. So we developed a series of products that were sort of Ayurvedic based and were CBD wellness based, and really trying to marry the ingredients that provide wellness. I'm a cancer survivor, so I'm extremely passionate about natural health foods and CBD and things that can reduce our inflammation and improve. But at that time, and until recently, CBD has been grouped in with the cannabis regulations. And so most recently, Health Canada has determined that we're going to take CBD out of that regulatory pathway. And it is still undetermined which direction it will go, but it looks like we're going to go. We're in actually the comments period right now until June 5th. It looks like we're going to go into the natural health products and in an area called NHPCC, so natural health products containing CBD, which is ideal, because what that will do is very similar to the way California swiftly adopted their new regs for CBD, and it will treat it like it's an ingredient. So CBD is still a cannabis ingredient that has to be processed and handled correctly. But then when it's brought over into the natural health products as an ingredient, then it is treated like an NHP, and those regulations apply. Why is that important? Suddenly we're going to move to where we really play, which is in the consumer packaged goods industry. So if you think about a Nestle or a Procter & Gamble, they've been researching CBD for years and years, but they can't bring products to market unless they go about getting one of these licenses. So now it's going to free them up to work with an organization such as ourselves, where we can acquire the CBD, move it into NHP, and roll those products out for them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And is, when you're using CBD, is it typically, because I mean, the form of CBD I've seen is like usually liquid, whatever you take it, or capsule. Is it in skincare as well?
It's absolutely in skincare. Absolutely. Yeah, we have a product. One of the things we do when we develop products is we get very emotionally invested in these products, and often we financially invest as well. So many of our products that we have brought to market for clients, we are also investors in. And one of them is the Solivo line of products. So Solivo has a CBD face serum product. And the beautiful thing about that is CBD is very good at reducing inflammation, which is relevant when you are dealing with acne or sebaceous oil glands or anything that requires you to reduce redness and inflammation. So it's excellent in topical products.
Interesting.
Yes, as well.
So you mentioned sort of you're sometimes financially invested in this. I'm curious on the other side, like you must get so emotionally invested in these products because you're taking them from like literally an idea to when they're hitting a shelf or you're selling. So,
exactly.
So I'm curious, where do you get your passion from? Like what drives you in the morning? Where do you get your most excitement from when you're going through this process?
I love asking other people that question because I think it's really the way you do discover your passion. I always say to people, if you picture a day that you're excited about or you're looking forward to, you can't wait to get up in the morning, what does that day entail? And for me, it's so many things. I have that split personality between introvert and extrovert.
Right, okay.
So some days all I want to do is sit behind my spreadsheets and analyze data, and I just love those days. I can't wait to get up. And the other side of me loves to really engage with clients and help them build their business, and that is everything from, the market and corporate finance side. So I am just an incredibly passionate person. I have a lot of energy, and I just love every phase of the project. I think I really like the project management side the most, and that's where the Chief Commercial Officer role works very well. But even in consulting with larger organizations that are trying to bring their product to market, most of them struggle because they don't have a Chief Commercial Officer. Right. And so, for example, companies will say, well, it takes us 18 to 24 months to roll out a new product. And I get that. And I know that it takes that long because I'm working with those large organizations. But we rolled out the Collage skincare line last year in 8 months from concept. We didn't even have an ingredient selected to launching at a beautiful art gallery in Vancouver in December. Why does that work well? One, because of the methodology, and two, because of the Chief Commercial Officer, that person like me that dips their toe into each phase of the project and makes sure that it's on track. So that's really what I'm passionate about. And you're right, once that product launches, you just don't want to let go of it. It feels like your baby.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that for sure.
Exactly.
And how do you stay current in your industry? Like, or how do you make sure? Because I'm sure there's lots of rule and regulation changes that are happening.
Exactly.
And even, especially if you're working with clients that are going cross-border or Europe, there's all different regulations there. So how do you stay current within that?
Yeah, the regulations is really the hardest part to stay current in. So we have experts in that area, but I really do feel very strongly about keeping current myself.
Yeah.
So I am a voracious reader. I quite honestly don't ever stop. I work 7 days a week, but again, I love it.
Yeah, you love what you do, so it's not work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of mentoring of young entrepreneurs, and one of the things that I've taught them, and I'm trying to make sure I apply myself, is do the low energy tasks when you have low energy.
Right.
When you're feeling good and energetic, tackle the big stuff.
Yeah, fair enough.
So regulations is one of those areas that you really have to have your brain in the right place. But also our associations that we are members of and part of are really good. So CHFA, for example, is excellent in their regulatory space.
Right.
They provide us great summaries of the information. We attend conferences twice a year. CBD has been a long-time interest of mine, so I am just obsessively looking for updates in those regs.
In that area. Yeah.
But yes, you're right. We have to stay current in everything, and this is why, once again, vetting a good supply chain, having the right partners is essential because they will help you stay current in some of these areas.
Interesting. So if someone's listening is wondering how they can learn more information, or they want to connect with you, they might have an idea, what's the best way to get a hold of you guys?
Yes, good. So Instagram, we're Pacific Rim Brands, all one word. Our website is pacificrimbrands.com. We speak at a lot of conferences and events, so we're always happy to meet new people, and you can reach out to us anytime.
Awesome. And then we'll put the links in the article as well, so if you guys are anyone's interested in learning more about it, because we didn't even know we had this in our backyard.
Yes,
so it's always great to
exactly.
kind of let people know, because maybe someone hadn't, or either was using someone else, or thought they had to go out to market for this sort of stuff. So it's right in our backyard for this, in a wealth of knowledge and experience that you guys can bring to the table too. So,
yes, yeah. One of the new websites we're going to be launching is a partnership we're doing on some new adaptogens with a group in town, and that website is findyourrhythm.com.
Very cool. Okay.
Yes, we're really excited about that. Rhythm is the brand name of the product, and it's an adaptogen or nootropic.
Okay.
And again, in the spirit of wellness, that's an excellent area to really be looking at preventative medicine. So adaptogens or nootropics in our case is basically adaptogenic mushrooms like turkey tail, lion's mane, cordyceps, and herbs. So we have a very exciting product line coming out in that regard.
Very cool. And what's the website again?
Findyourrhythm.com.
Find your rhythm. And it's live? The site's live?
It will be live any day now.
Okay. Now stay tuned. Findyourrhythm.com.
Yes.
We'll have to get you back in to talk about that one.
Sounds great. That sounds great.
Well, thank you for joining me today. It's been great chatting,
Rob.
for sure. And
it's been my pleasure.
Like I said, we'll put the links in the article as well, so people can find you and connect with you. And I connect with you. I have your LinkedIn page on here, so they can find you on LinkedIn and connect with you on LinkedIn as well. Thank you for sharing the information with us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. And everyone else, big shout out to ATB. Thank you for sponsoring these community spotlights. We really appreciate it. And for everyone else, have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Community Spotlight, powered by ATB Wealth Kelowna. Ready to take a powerful step towards the future you want today? Connect with local advisors at ATB Wealth Kelowna to get started.